You make him regret losing me, I whispered to my reflection in the ladies' room mirror, mascara smudged, dress too tight, heart still bleeding from a breakup text that came 3 hours before our anniversary dinner. My best friend Maya had dragged me to this rooftop bar in Tribeca, the kind with velvet ropes and a view that costs more than my rent. You need to remember you're alive, she'd said. I didn't feel alive. I felt like a wound pretending to be a woman. But then I walked back to our table, and everything stopped. A man at the bar, all sharp edges and controlled power in a black suit, was staring at me like I was the only person in the room. Not the hungry stare I'd learned to dodge. Something else. Something that felt like being seen through glass. I should have looked away. Instead, I held his gaze and smiled. The kind of reckless smile you give when you've already lost everything. I didn't know his name was Dominic Carver. I didn't know the bartender had gone pale. I didn't know I'd just smiled at the man who owned half of New York's underground. I just knew that for the first time in 6 months, I felt something other than empty. My name is Lara Bennett, and the night I met Dominic Carver, I was wearing a dress that didn't fit right, and a smile that was pure performance art. 28 years old, documentary filmmaker, currently employed by a production company that paid me in valuable experience, and barely enough to cover my half of a cramped 2-bedroom in Brooklyn. I shared the apartment with my best friend Nia and a cat named Bergman who only loved me when his food bowl was empty. My life was small and cramped and mine, until Tyler Morrison decided it wasn't worth keeping. The breakup text came at 9:30 on a Friday morning, 12 words that detonated my entire existence. I think we want different things. I'm sorry. Already moved out. 3 years. 3 years of rearranging my life around his schedule, his ambitions, his needs that always somehow eclipsed mine. I'd followed him from Seattle to New York when he got the finance job. I'd turned down a documentary fellowship in Berlin because he said long distance would kill us. I'd made myself smaller and quieter and more convenient, believing that love meant accommodation, that partnership meant erasure of the inconvenient parts of yourself. And he'd left while I was at work. Took his things. Took some of my things, too. The vintage Super 8 camera his mother gave me, the blanket my grandmother crocheted, even the French press we'd bought together at a flea market in Williamsburg, the one I'd used every morning for 2 years. He left me with silence and empty closet space and the smell of his cologne still lingering on the pillows. I found out about Amber, the CrossFit instructor with the spray tan and the motivational Instagram quotes, 3 hours later when a mutual friend sent me a screenshot. They'd been together for 5 months. 5 months of him coming home late, of sex that felt mechanical, of conversations that died in his throat. 5 months of me asking if something was wrong, and him saying I was imagining things, that I was being paranoid, that I needed to trust him more. Nia found me on the bathroom floor that evening. Mascara streaked down my face like war paint. Phone clutched so hard my knuckles were white. Absolutely not, she said, hauling me up by both arms with the kind of strength you develop from years of refusing to let your friends self-destruct. You're not doing this. You're not going to waste another second on that mediocre man-child. We're going out. I don't want to go out. I want to die. You can die tomorrow. Tonight, you're going to put on something that makes you feel powerful, and you're going to remember that you existed before Tyler Morrison, and you'll exist just fine after him. She was right, of course. Nia was always right. But knowing something intellectually and feeling it in your bones are 2 different countries, and I was still stuck at the border. The rooftop bar in Tribeca was called Altitude, which felt both pretentious and accurate. 32nd floor, glass walls, a view of Manhattan that made you feel like you were floating above the city instead of drowning in it. The kind of place where drinks cost more than my grocery budget and everyone looked like they'd been professionally lit. I felt like an imposter in my simple black dress, the one with the zipper that stuck and the hem that was slightly uneven. I was still wearing the necklace Tyler gave me for our 2-year anniversary, a delicate gold chain with a tiny compass pendant. So you'll always find your way back to me, he'd said. The irony was thick enough to choke on. You need to remember you're more than what he made you feel, Nia said, pressing a dirty martini into my hand. You need to remember you're alive. But I didn't feel alive. I felt like a hologram of a person, all surface and no substance, going through the motions of existing without actually inhabiting my body. The bar was crowded with the usual Tribeca Friday night crowd, finance bros celebrating bonuses, influencers staging candid photos, Couples on expensive dates where the conversation was less interesting than the lighting. I hated all of it. Hated the performance of happiness, the casual wealth, the way everyone seemed to know exactly who they were and where they belonged. Nia was talking to some guy about cryptocurrency or NFTs or whatever the current method of converting money into conversation was. I nodded at appropriate intervals, sipped my martini, and tried to remember what it felt like to care about anything. That's when I saw him. He was standing at the bar, alone in a way that felt deliberate rather than circumstantial. Tall, maybe 6'2", with black hair pushed back from his face and a profile that looked like it had been carved with intentional severity. He wore a charcoal suit that fit the way expensive things fit, perfectly tailored to suggest power without advertising it. His hands rested on the bar with casual authority, and there was something about his stillness that made the chaos around him feel like static. But it wasn't his looks that arrested me. It was the space around him. The way people moved past him with unconscious deference, like water finding a path around stone. The way the bartender appeared without being summoned, pouring whiskey into a crystal glass with the kind of attention you give to important things. The way the security guard by the entrance kept glancing over, not threatening, just aware. He turned his head slightly, scanning the room, and his eyes locked on mine. Dark eyes, not brown, darker than that. The kind of dark that doesn't reflect light so much as absorb it. And when he looked at me, really looked, I felt it like a physical thing. Like being seen through glass. Like being studied and assessed and found interesting. I should have looked away. Should have returned to my drink and my friend and my comfortable invisibility. Instead, I held his gaze. Something passed between us in that moment. Not attraction exactly, though that was there too. It was more like recognition. Like two people who speak the same language finding each other in a foreign country. He didn't smile, didn't gesture, just kept looking at me with an intensity that made my skin feel too tight. I found myself standing, walking toward the bar, propelled by something that felt like grief and recklessness, and the desperate need to feel something other than empty. The crowd parted for me, or maybe I just stopped caring about navigation. And then I was there, standing next to him, close enough to smell cedar and something darker, gunpowder maybe, or just expensive cologne and my overactive imagination. "Is this seat taken?" I asked, gesturing to the empty stool beside him. His eyes never left my face. "It is now." His voice was exactly what I expected, low, textured, the kind of voice that sounded like it was used to being obeyed. But there was something else underneath, something careful. I sat down, ordered another martini I definitely didn't need. The bartender materialized instantly, served me without the usual interrogation about payment, and disappeared just as fast. "You look like someone just ended your world," he said after a moment. I laughed. Bitter, broken, that obvious. Only to people who've had their world ended before. I turned to look at him properly. Up close, he was even more striking. The kind of face you saw in paintings of fallen angels, beautiful in a way that suggested danger. There was a thin scar cutting through his left eyebrow, barely visible unless you were this close. His hands were clean but calloused, the nails neat, the knuckles slightly too prominent like they'd met resistance before. "My boyfriend," I stopped, corrected myself. "Ex-boyfriend dumped me this morning, via text. After 3 years, while I was at work." "Coward," he said simply. "Yeah." I took a long drink of my martini, felt the vodka burn pleasantly down my throat. The worst part isn't even that he left. It's that I saw it coming and convinced myself I was being paranoid. He was pulling away for months, and I just made myself smaller, easier, less demanding. Like if I could just be the right amount of easy to love, he'd stay. I had no idea why I was telling this to a stranger. Maybe because he was a stranger. Maybe because his face showed no judgment, no pity, just neutral attention. Maybe because I was drunk and devastated and tired of performing okay. "What's his name?" he asked. "Tyler. Tyler Morrison, works in finance. Midtown." I laughed again, sharper this time. "Left me for his CrossFit instructor, a woman named Amber who posts inspirational quotes about growth and accountability. The irony is not lost on me. What do you want?" The question was so direct it startled me. What? From this situation, from him, what do you actually want? I stared into my drink, watching the olives settle. What did I want? To feel like I mattered. To prove that throwing me away was a mistake. To stop feeling like I was fundamentally unlovable. Make him regret losing me, I whispered, and the words felt both true and pathetic. That's all I want. Just make him see what he threw away. Make him realize I was worth keeping. The silence stretched. When I looked up, he was watching me with an expression I couldn't read. Consider it done, he said. I blinked. What? Consider it done, he repeated, and signaled the bartender with one raised finger. Another round. And close her tab. Everything tonight is on me. You don't have to do that. I know. The bartender appeared, and I noticed his hand was shaking as he poured my drink. Noticed the way he avoided eye contact with the man beside me. Noticed the sudden tension in his shoulders, like he was serving someone who required absolute precision. Who are you? I asked, suddenly aware that I'd sat down with a complete stranger and confessed my intimate failures without even learning his name. Dominic, he said. Dominic Carver. Behind the bar, a glass shattered. The bartender apologized profusely, scrambling to clean it up. At the corner table, 3 men in dark suits stopped their conversation mid-sentence, all of them turning to look at us with expressions I couldn't quite parse. Fear? Respect? Something in between. The security guard by the door was speaking quietly into his wrist, and suddenly there were more guards, 3 of them, positioned at different exits, not obviously threatening, but definitely present. My pulse kicked up. Should I know that name? Probably not. He took a slow sip of his whiskey, completely unconcerned by the sudden shift in atmosphere. Most people who should know it already do. That's not comforting. It's not meant to be comforting. It's meant to be honest. He set down his glass, and I noticed his hands again. Clean, expensive watch, manicured nails, but those knuckles, those scars. Your ex-boyfriend, Tyler, where exactly does he work? I should have said nothing. Every survival instinct I'd ever developed was screaming at me to smile politely, finish my drink, and return to Nia and the safety of irrelevance. But his eyes were so dark, so focused, and I was so tired of being invisible. Pearson Whitmore, I heard myself say. He's an associate, 3rd floor. Dominic nodded slowly, like I'd just confirmed something he already knew. Then he stood, buttoned his jacket with the precision of someone putting on armor, and looked down at me with an expression that might have been sympathy. Thank you for your honesty, Lara. I startled. I didn't tell you my name. I know. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a card. Black, heavy cardstock with just a phone number embossed in silver. No name, no company. Just 10 digits that caught the light like a promise or a threat. When you're ready to stop asking the universe for justice and ready to take it yourself, call me. I don't understand. You will. He placed the card on the bar between us, his fingers lingering near mine without quite touching. Go home, Lara Bennett. Sleep off the vodka. And in the morning, when you wake up and remember this conversation, you'll have a choice. You can throw away that card and pretend this never happened. Or you can call me. Either way, Tyler Morrison is going to have a very interesting week. What are you going to do to him? Dominic smiled then. Not cruel, but not kind either. Something more complex, like watching someone solve a difficult equation. Nothing he doesn't deserve. Nothing permanent. Just enough to make him understand that some losses are permanent. He walked away before I could respond. The crowd parted for him instantly, a human Red Sea of expensive clothing and forced casualness. The guards followed at a distance, and I watched the entire bar breathe easier the moment he disappeared through the exit. I sat there, staring at the black card on the bar, my hand shaking as I picked it up. Naya appeared at my elbow, eyes wide. Lara, please tell me you did not just spend the last hour talking to Dominic Carver. You know him? Everyone knows him. Or knows enough to stay away. She grabbed my arm, voice low and urgent. He's not a nice guy. He's not even a bad guy with good intentions. He's dangerous, Lara. Like, actually dangerous. His family owns half of Manhattan's underground. Clubs, construction, shipping, things people don't talk about in public. And everyone says he's trying to go legitimate. But that doesn't erase what he was. What he probably still is. I looked down at the card in my hand, feeling its weight. He said he'd help me. Men like that don't help. They collect. And whatever he thinks you owe him, it's going to cost more than you can afford. She was right. Of course she was right. I put the card in my purse anyway. I woke up Saturday morning with a hangover that felt like divine punishment and a business card burning a hole in my consciousness. The apartment was quiet. Nia had already left for her shift at the gallery in Chelsea, leaving behind a note on the kitchen counter written in her aggressive all-caps handwriting. Threw away the card. You're welcome. Love you. Don't be stupid. I checked my purse. The black card was still there, right where I'd left it, tucked into the inner pocket like contraband. Nia had tried. I had to give her that. I made coffee in the regular drip machine, not the French press, because Tyler had taken that too, another small amputation I kept discovering. Sat at our rickety kitchen table with my laptop, pretending I was going to work on the documentary about street artists that was due in 3 weeks. Instead, I stared at the card, just a phone number, 10 digits embossed in silver on black cardstock so heavy it felt like currency. I told myself I wouldn't call. Told myself that whatever Dominic Carver was, whatever he'd offered in that moment of alcohol and devastation, it wasn't real help. It was something else. Something that came with invisible strings and prices I couldn't calculate. But then my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Tyler Morrison has been terminated from Pearson Whitmore effective immediately. Thought you'd want to know. My coffee went cold in my hands. I pulled up Tyler's LinkedIn on my laptop, refreshing the page 3 times before it loaded. His profile picture, that smug smile in front of the company logo, was still there. But his position had changed. Seeking new opportunities. It had been less than 12 hours. My phone rang. Tyler's name flashed across the screen, and my stomach clenched with an emotion I couldn't name. Not satisfaction, not quite guilt. Something more complicated, like watching a car accident you accidentally caused. I answered, "Hello. What did you do?" His voice was ragged, panicked in a way I'd never heard before. Tyler didn't panic. Tyler projected confidence even when he was lying, even when he was failing, even when he was walking out of our relationship via text message. "Lara, what the fuck did you do? I don't know what you're talking about." Bullshit. I got fired this morning, escorted out by security. They said there were discrepancies in my accounts, that I'd violated ethics policies I didn't even know existed. And then Amber, his voice cracked, Amber broke up with me, posted this whole thing on Instagram about discovering someone's true character and choosing self-respect. She blocked me everywhere. And my landlord called saying there were complaints about noise violations I never made and my lease is being terminated, and he kept talking. This avalanche of consequences I couldn't quite process. His gym membership canceled, his dry cleaner refusing his business. Small, petty destructions that added up to a life being systematically dismantled. "Tyler," I interrupted, "I'm sorry this is happening to you. You did this. I know you did. How? How would I possibly have the power to do any of this?" Silence. Because he couldn't answer that. Because in the 3 years we were together, he'd never once considered that I might have power. That I might be capable of anything beyond accommodating his needs and forgiving his betrayals. "I have to go," I said quietly. "Lara, please. If you know something, if you can fix this." I hung up. Sat there staring at my phone, feeling something shift inside me. Not satisfaction, not vindication. Just a terrible awareness that I'd asked for something without understanding what I was asking for, and now the universe, or something more deliberate than the universe, was delivering. The black car appeared Monday morning. I was leaving for work, running late because I'd stayed up until 3 a.m. editing footage. And there it was, a black Mercedes sedan with tinted windows parked directly in front of my building. The kind of car that cost more than I'd make in 5 years. I told myself it was a coincidence. Manhattan was full of expensive cars. But when I walked to the subway, it followed me. Slow, deliberate, maintaining exactly 3 car lengths behind. I descended into the Bedford Avenue station, and by the time I emerged in Union Square, my hands were shaking. Walked to the production studio where I was doing freelance editing work, and the car was there when I arrived. Still there when I left 6 hours later. Tuesday morning, there was a delivery. I opened my apartment door to find a bag from Balthazar, the French bakery I'd mentioned to Dominic. During that confession, I barely remembered through the vodka haze. Inside, a chocolate croissant, Still warm, and coffee exactly how I took it. Dark roast, splash of oat milk, no sugar. The card tucked inside said simply, "You need to eat." Denia found me staring at it, the coffee growing cold in my hands. "This is not romance," she said, voice tight with something that might have been fear. "This is surveillance, Lara. He knows where you live. He knows what you eat. He knows your schedule. This is not a man trying to help you. This is a man establishing control. Maybe he's just being thoughtful. Thoughtful men bring you flowers and ask permission. They don't track your location and send breakfast to prove they're watching." She grabbed my shoulders, forcing me to look at her. "Listen to me. Men like Dominic Carver don't do anything without a reason. And whatever he thinks you are, investment, asset, amusing distraction, it's not going to end well for you." But she didn't understand. Couldn't understand. For 3 years, Tyler had made me feel invisible. My needs were negotiable. My career was a hobby. My pain was dramatic. I'd spent so long making myself smaller that I'd forgotten I could take up space, could be seen, could matter enough for someone to notice what I ate for breakfast. Dominic made me feel seen. Terrifyingly, overwhelmingly, dangerously seen. I tried to maintain normalcy. Worked on my documentary, interviewing artists in Bushwick and the Lower East Side. Met my friend Jackson, an old film school classmate, for coffee in the West Village. Attended a screening at the Film Forum, some French New Wave revival that usually would have absorbed my complete attention. The black car was always there. Different drivers, but the same watchful presence. A shadow with tinted windows and professional discretion. Wednesday night, I was walking home from the subway when I felt it. The prickling awareness of being watched. Not the car. That was its usual 3 car lengths behind. Something else. Something closer. I turned down my street, keys already in my hand like a weapon, and saw him. A man standing under the broken streetlight outside my building, hands in his pockets, face partially obscured by a Yankees cap pulled low. He didn't move. Just watched me approach with the kind of stillness that predators have. My pulse kicked into overdrive. The black car was half a block away. Too far to help if help was even what they offered. I thought about running, about screaming, about all the self-defense moves I'd learned in that workshop Nia dragged me to after a string of subway incidents. The man stepped forward. "Lara Bennett." I said nothing. "He thinks he owns you." The voice was rough, local accent, someone who'd grown up in the boroughs. "But you don't belong to him. You can't, because he's forgotten where he comes from. And we remember. I don't know what you're talking about. You will." He pulled something from his pocket, and my entire body tensed, prepared for a weapon, but it was just an envelope. Manila, slightly worn, sealed with clear tape. He tossed it at my feet. "Tell Carver that going legitimate doesn't erase the blood on his hands. Tell him Marco Marchetti remembers. And tell him we're coming for everything he thinks he's built." The black Mercedes screeched to a halt between us, and suddenly there were men, 2 of them, moving with professional efficiency, positioning themselves between me and the stranger. "You should go, Lara," one of them said without looking at me. His hand was inside his jacket, resting on something I didn't want to identify. The stranger smiled, backing away with his hands raised in mock surrender. "See you around, sweetheart. Give Dom my regards." He disappeared into the darkness between buildings, and I stood there shaking, the envelope at my feet like evidence of something I didn't understand. One of the guards picked it up, handling it carefully. "We need to get you inside." "Who are you?" "Protection detail. Mr. Carver wants you safe." I didn't ask for protection. No. He finally looked at me, and his expression was almost sympathetic. "But you asked for other things, and this is what those things cost." They escorted me to my apartment, checked every room, made sure the windows locked properly, left their number with instructions to call immediately if anything felt wrong. Then they were gone, and I was alone with Bergman and the terrible awareness that my life had become something I no longer controlled. I called the number on the black card. He answered on the first ring. "Lara." Just my name, but the way he said it felt like possession, like acknowledgement, like he'd been waiting. "Why are you following me?" "I'm not. My people are." "That's the same thing." "No." His voice was calm, maddeningly reasonable, the kind of tone you use with someone you're trying not to spook. "One is a threat. The other is protection. You asked me to make Tyler regret losing you." I delivered. But actions have consequences. And now you're visible to people who don't like when I take interest in something. My apartment felt too small suddenly. Too exposed. What people? People who think I've gone soft. People who want to remind me where I came from. People who see you as either valuable or leverage. And either way, that makes you a target. A pause. And I heard something in the background. Voices. Movement. The ambient sound of a space with multiple people. I need you to meet me tomorrow. Noon. There's a gallery in Soho. The Morrison space. I'll explain everything. I can't just... You called me, Lara. That means you already know you're in too deep to pretend you're not. His voice dropped, became something softer and more dangerous. Don't bring your friend. Don't tell anyone where you're going. And Lara, don't make me come to you. The line went dead. I stood there holding my phone, listening to silence, feeling the walls of my small life closing in. Bergman wound around my ankles, purring, oblivious to the fact that I'd just done something irreversible, that I'd opened a door I couldn't close, that asking a stranger to destroy my ex-boyfriend had somehow led to men outside my apartment, and warnings about blood and names I didn't recognize. I should have called Nia, should have called the police, should have done anything except what I actually did, which was walk to my junk drawer and pull out the envelope the stranger had thrown at my feet, the one the guard had somehow missed or deliberately left behind. Inside was a single photograph. Me, walking home from the subway 3 nights ago. Taken from across the street, slightly blurred, but unmistakably me. My face caught in the streetlight, visible and vulnerable and completely unaware I was being watched. Written on the back in block letters, he thinks he owns you. He's wrong. We all pay eventually. My hands were shaking so hard I dropped it. That night, I couldn't sleep. Lay in my bed listening to every sound. The radiator's groan, the neighbor's television through thin walls, Bergman's breathing from his spot at the foot of the bed. Every car that passed felt like a threat. Every footstep in the hallway felt like someone coming. At 3 a.m., I heard it. A sound that didn't belong. Soft, deliberate. The scrape of something against my apartment door. I grabbed my phone, ready to call the guards, ready to call 911, ready to do something. Then I saw it, a piece of paper sliding under my door, white against dark hardwood, appearing inch by inch like a slow-motion threat. I waited until I heard footsteps retreating down the stairs, counted to 30, crept to the door with my heart hammering so hard I thought I might pass out. The paper was thick, expensive stationery, a note written in elegant cursive that looked like it belonged in another century. Ms. Bennett, you've caught the attention of a man who collects beautiful, broken things. But Dominic Carver has forgotten. Everything he touches turns to ash eventually. Consider this your warning. Walk away while you still can, or don't. Either way, when this ends, you'll wish you'd listened. A friend. The Morrison space wasn't what I expected. I'd imagined something sleek and modern, the kind of gallery that displayed conceptual installations and charged admission. Instead, it was tucked between a vintage bookstore and a wine bar on a quiet Soho street, its windows frosted, its door unmarked except for a small brass number. I arrived at 11:50, sharp 10 minutes early because punctuality was a habit I couldn't break even when walking into what might be a trap. The door was unlocked. Inside, the gallery was empty, white walls, polished concrete floors, track lighting illuminating paintings that looked like violence translated into color, abstract pieces, all reds and blacks and angry slashes of white. Dominic stood in the center of the space, hands in his pockets, studying a canvas that could have been a scream or a sunset. He didn't turn when I entered, didn't acknowledge the sound of the door closing behind me or my footsteps echoing in the cavernous space. Do you know what I do, Lara? His voice carried in the emptiness, calm and measured, like we were discussing weather instead of whatever this was. No, I said, because honesty seemed safer than pretending. I inherit problems and turn them into solutions. He finally looked at me, and his eyes were darker than I remembered, shadows pooling in the hollows beneath. My grandfather built an empire on fear and blood, loan sharking, protection rackets, things that required violence to maintain. My father expanded it. Construction contracts, union control, legitimate businesses with illegitimate foundations. And I'm trying to build something different. Something clean. But the past doesn't disappear just because you want it to. I stayed near the door, maintaining distance like it could protect me. Why are you telling me this? Because you asked me for help, and I gave it. He moved closer, slow and deliberate, giving me time to run if I wanted to. But help from someone like me comes with a price tag you didn't read, consequences you didn't anticipate. And now those consequences are knocking on your door at 3 a.m. And my throat went dry. How did you know? Because I know everything about you now, Laura. I know you drink your coffee with oat milk. I know you're working on a documentary about street artists that's 3 weeks overdue. I know your cat is named after Ingmar Bergman and that you cried during the opening credits of Up. He was close enough now that I could see the fine lines at the corners of his eyes, the shadow of stubble along his jaw. I know your ex-boyfriend took your grandmother's blanket when he left, and you haven't been able to sleep properly since. And I know that 3 days ago, someone left a photograph under your door, a warning meant to scare you away from me. It worked, I whispered. No, it didn't. Because you're here. He was right. God help me, he was right. 3 days ago, a rival family learned I'd taken interest in you. His hand came up slowly, fingers brushing my cheek with devastating gentleness. The Marchettis. They've been waiting for an opening, some vulnerability they could exploit, some way to prove that my attempts at legitimacy have made me weak. And then you appeared. A woman I spent an hour with. A woman I helped. A woman who matters. I don't matter. I'm nobody. You were... His thumb traced the line of my jaw. But then you smiled at me in a bar and asked me to destroy someone, and I did. Which means you're mine now, whether you understand what that means or not. Something in me recoiled at the possessiveness, at the assumption of ownership. I don't belong to anyone. I know. His expression shifted. Something that might have been respect flickering across his features. That's exactly why they want you. Because I don't collect people, Lara. I don't get attached. I don't let anyone close enough to matter. But I made an exception for you. And exceptions are vulnerabilities, and vulnerabilities get exploited. The lights went out. Complete darkness. Sudden and absolute. I gasped, reaching instinctively for Dominic, finding the solid warmth of his chest beneath expensive fabric. His arm came around me immediately, protective, possessive, pulling me against him with enough force to eliminate all space between us. Stay behind me, he said quietly, his voice transformed into something cold and tactical. What's happening? They're here. The gallery door exploded inward in a shower of glass and splintered wood. 3 men, faces covered with black masks, moving with professional efficiency. But they didn't come for Dominic. They came for me. I didn't have time to scream before Dominic moved. He was faster than someone his size should be, brutal and economical. Every movement precisely calibrated for maximum damage. A gun went flying, skittering across polished concrete. Someone's arm bent wrong, the crack of bone audible over my hammering heart. One of them grabbed me from behind, hand over my mouth, arm around my waist, dragging me backward toward the shattered door. I bit down hard, tasting blood and latex. Heard him curse in a voice thick with a Brooklyn accent. Then Dominic had him by the throat, slammed against the white wall hard enough to crack plaster, hard enough that I felt the impact vibrate through the floor. Who sent you? His voice was unrecognizable, pure ice and barely leashed violence. The man laughed through broken teeth, blood streaming from his nose. You know who? Marco says hello, says to tell you the girl's just the beginning. Dominic's hand tightened, and I watched the man's eyes bulge, watched his face turn colors that didn't belong on living things. Stop! I heard myself shout, my voice high and desperate. You're going to kill him. That's the idea. Dominic! He froze, looked at me over his shoulder, and in his eyes I saw it. The monster underneath the expensive suits and measured words, the capacity for violence that he carried like a second skeleton. For a moment I thought he wouldn't listen. Thought I'd just watch a man die in front of me, watch Dominic become exactly what everyone said he was. Then, slowly, so slowly it felt like defusing a bomb, he released his grip. The 3 men scrambled out through the broken door, leaving blood and broken glass and the acrid smell of fear behind. The lights flickered back on, revealing the destruction. Shattered paintings, cracked walls, evidence of how quickly civility could collapse into chaos. Dominic stood in the wreckage, breathing hard, his knuckles split and bleeding. When he turned to face me, I saw something in his expression I couldn't name. Not quite shame, not quite regret. Something more complicated. "This is what you bought," he said quietly. "This is what 'consider it done' looks like in my world. Violence and blood and men who think hurting you will hurt me. This is the price of being seen by someone like me. I should have run, should have walked out through that shattered door and never looked back. Should have found a police station, a lawyer, anyone who operated in the world of laws and consequences and civilized solutions. Instead, I moved toward him. Who are they?" I asked, surprised by how steady my voice sounded. "The Marchettis, old family. They controlled the waterfront until my father pushed them out 20 years ago. Marco Marchetti, their current head. He's been waiting for an opening. Some proof that I've gone soft, that my attempts at legitimacy have made me vulnerable." He looked at his bleeding hands like they belonged to someone else. "And now he thinks you're that proof. Then prove him wrong." His eyes snapped to mine, searching for something. "You don't know what you're asking. I know I'm tired of being collateral damage in other people's wars. I know that running won't make me safer because they already know where I live, where I work, what I eat for breakfast." My voice was shaking but steady, carried by something that felt like anger or courage or just exhaustion. "So either you teach me how to survive your world, or you let me go completely. But don't keep me in this limbo where I'm protected and trapped at the same time." Dominic studied me for a long moment, something shifting behind his eyes. Then he pulled out his phone, pressed a single button. "Send the car to the back entrance. We're taking her to the estate." "What estate?" "Mine." His hand found mine, fingers threading through with surprising gentleness. "Where I can keep you safe until I figure out who wants you dead and why. I have a job, a life, a friend who's going to lose her mind. Your friend will be protected too. Your job will be explained. Your life." He stopped, choosing words carefully. "Your life is about to get very different, Lara, and I'm sorry for that. Sorry that helping you has put you in danger. Sorry that my world touched yours. But I can't undo it now. I can only try to keep you alive long enough to make this right." We moved through a back corridor I hadn't noticed before. Emergency exit leading to an alley where a black SUV waited with tinted windows and a driver who didn't ask questions. Dominic helped me into the back seat, his hand steady on my lower back, and slid in beside me. The driver pulled away smoothly, and I watched Soho disappear through tinted glass. Watched my normal life recede like shoreline from a departing boat. "Where are we going?" I asked. "Westchester, about 40 minutes north. My family's estate. Your family, they're dead. Flat. Factual. My father, 6 years ago. Heart attack. My grandfather, 10 years before that. Cancer. My sister, his jaw tightened. Car accident. 3 years ago. I'm sorry. Don't be..." They built the cage I'm trying to escape. My sister was the only one who believed I could. We drove in silence for a while, Manhattan giving way to highways and then to tree-lined roads that suggested money and privacy. I should have been terrified. Should have been planning escape routes and composing goodbye texts to Naya. Instead, I felt strangely calm, like I'd been holding my breath for years and finally remembered how to exhale. Dominic's phone buzzed. He looked at the screen, and his entire body went rigid. "What?" I asked. He turned the phone toward me, and my heart stopped. The image showed Tyler, my ex-boyfriend Tyler, bound to a chair in some dark space that could have been a warehouse or a basement. His face was bruised, left eye swollen shut, lip split and bleeding. He was holding today's newspaper. I could see the date clearly, and his expression was pure terror. The message below read, "Looks like you collected the wrong debt, Carver. Return what's ours, or everyone you've touched pays the bill, starting with the X." My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the phone. "They have Tyler. They took Tyler because of me. Not because of you." Dominic's voice was cold, tactical. "Because of me. Because hurting him hurts you, and hurting you is supposed to hurt me. We have to help him. We will. How? You just said they want to kill him. They won't. Not yet. He's leverage, which means he's valuable alive. He was already typing something, sending messages to people I couldn't see. But Lara, you need to understand something. Tyler is in that chair because I destroyed his life when you asked me to. Because I made him visible to people who use pain as currency. This isn't random violence. This is targeted, calculated. They took him to prove a point. What point? Dominic looked at me, and for the first time since I'd met him, I saw something that might have been genuine regret. That caring about you was a mistake I'm going to pay for. The estate was nothing like I imagined. I'd pictured something ostentatious, marble columns and gold fixtures, the kind of wealth that screamed rather than whispered. Instead, it was a stone mansion set back from the road, hidden behind iron gates and old-growth trees that created a canopy thick enough to block out the afternoon sun. The architecture was understated, almost austere, more fortress than showpiece. Security was everywhere but invisible. Cameras hidden in tree branches, guards positioned at intervals that suggested military precision rather than mere protection. They nodded to Dominic as we passed, their expressions carefully neutral, and I understood that I was entering a world with its own hierarchy, its own rules, its own language that I didn't speak. The guest room they put me in was on the second floor, overlooking gardens that would have been beautiful if I could appreciate anything beyond the image of Tyler's beaten face burned into my retinas. The room itself was elegant in that old money way, antique furniture that had survived generations, Persian rugs soft enough to sink into, windows with views that felt more like surveillance than scenery. I stood at those windows, watching twilight settle over the grounds, and tried to reconcile the reality of my situation. 24 hours ago, I was a struggling filmmaker with a broken heart and a cat. Now I was hiding in a mansion owned by a man who just killed, or almost killed, 3 people in front of me. A man who spoke about violence the way other people discussed weather. A knock at the door. Soft, almost apologetic. "Come in." Dominic entered carrying a first aid kit, his suit jacket gone, shirt sleeves rolled to his elbows. His knuckles were still bleeding, the skin split over prominent bones, and there was a cut above his left eyebrow I hadn't noticed before. "You're hurt," I said, which was possibly the most obvious statement I'd ever made. "Occupational hazard." He set the kit on the antique writing desk. "I wanted to check on you. Make sure you had everything you needed. I need Tyler to be safe." "I know." He moved to the windows, standing beside me but not touching, both of us staring out at darkness. "My people are working on it. Tracking the photo metadata, checking traffic cameras near his apartment, reaching out to contacts in the Marchetti organization. We'll find where they're keeping him. And then what? Then I get him back." The simplicity of the statement was almost comforting. No qualifications, no maybes. Just certainty delivered in that calm, measured voice. "This is my fault," I said quietly. "I asked you to hurt him. And now he's being tortured because of me." "No." Dominic turned to face me fully, and his expression was harder than I'd seen it. "This is my fault. I made the choice to help you. I made the choice to go after him with enough visibility that the Marchettis noticed. I made you visible by association. Tyler is in that chair because of decisions I made, not because you had the audacity to want justice after being betrayed. That's not justice. That's revenge. Sometimes they're the same thing." I wanted to argue, wanted to maintain the moral high ground, wanted to believe there was a meaningful difference between what I'd asked for and what had happened. But standing in that room, looking at this man who'd orchestrated my ex-boyfriend's systematic destruction with the efficiency of someone who'd done it before, I couldn't find the words. "Why did you help me?" I asked instead. "That night at the bar, you could have just listened and moved on. Why did you actually do it?" Dominic was quiet for a long moment, choosing words with visible care. "Because you reminded me of my sister, Sophia. She was always trying to save people, always believing that broken things could be fixed, that people deserved second chances even when they'd used up all their first ones." His voice softened with memory. "She was the only person who believed I could be something other than what my family made me. And when she died, I made a promise to her, that I'd try, that I'd find another way. What happened to her? Car accident, at least. That's what the official report said." His jaw tightened. "But the brake lines had been cut. Message from a rival family. They were aiming for me. and she paid the price. 22 years old, art history degree, whole life ahead of her, and she died because someone wanted to hurt me. The parallel wasn't lost on me. Tyler, taken because of proximity to Dominic. Sophia, killed for the same reason. A pattern of collateral damage that followed him like a shadow. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "Don't be sorry. Be smart." He moved closer, and I could smell cedar and something darker. Cordite, maybe? Or just the memory of violence. This world I live in, Lara, it doesn't forgive mistakes. It doesn't give second chances. And everyone close to me becomes a target eventually. That's why I don't let people close. That's why I keep everything transactional, professional, distant. But you let me close. I did. And look where we are. The words should have stung. Should have felt like rejection or blame. Instead, they felt like confession. Like admitting to a weakness he couldn't afford but couldn't eliminate. 3 rules, I said, surprising myself. If I'm staying here, if we're doing this, we need 3 rules. His eyebrow raised. The one without the cut. I don't take orders. These aren't orders. They're boundaries. I counted on my fingers, trying to channel the bravery I didn't feel. 1. You don't hurt Tyler unless he's actually guilty of something beyond being my terrible ex-boyfriend. 2. You tell me the truth. Not your version, not the sanitized version. The actual truth about what's happening and why. And 3. I took a breath. You let me help. I'm not helpless, and I'm tired of being treated like something fragile that needs protecting. I'm a documentary filmmaker. I know how to research, how to investigate, how to find stories people don't want found. Use that. Dominic studied me for a long moment, something shifting in his expression, calculation mixed with what might have been respect. And my rule? You get one. Fair is fair. He stepped closer. Close enough that I had to tilt my head back to maintain eye contact. You don't sacrifice yourself to save anyone. Not Tyler. Not your friend Naya. Not even me. Whatever happens, whatever choices you have to make, you survive. That's non-negotiable. Why do you care if I... Because... His hand came up, cupping my face with devastating gentleness, thumb brushing my cheekbone. Because you smiled at me in a bar and saw a person instead of a monster. Because you're brave and reckless and so determined to believe people can change that you make me want to prove you right. And because if something happens to you because of me, I'll burn this entire city down and become exactly what my sister died trying to prevent. Our faces were inches apart. I could see flecks of gold in his dark eyes, could feel his breath against my lips, could sense the tension in his body like a coiled spring. Dominic. His phone shattered the moment. He pulled back, answered with clipped efficiency. What? I watched his expression change. Alarm, then calculation, then barely controlled fury. When? How many? A pause. Secure the perimeter. I'm coming down. He lowered the phone, and the look in his eyes made my blood freeze. What happened? Someone breached the estate. His voice was cold, tactical, already moving toward the door. They're in the East Wing. But we're in the East Wing. He pulled a gun from somewhere, his waistband, a holster I hadn't noticed, and the casual way he handled it suggested this wasn't the first time. Maybe not even the 100th. Lock the door behind me. Don't open it for anyone except me. Not guards, not staff, not anyone. Understand? I nodded, mouth too dry for words. Lara. He paused at the door, looking back with an expression I couldn't read. If someone does get in, there's a panic room behind the bookshelf. 3rd shelf from the top, press the red leather volume. It's reinforced steel, communication system, emergency supplies. You'll be safe there until this is over. What about you? Something that might have been a smile flickered across his face. I've survived worse. Then he was gone, and I was alone, listening to his footsteps fade down the hallway, listening to doors slamming and voices shouting, and the distant sound of something that might have been gunfire or might have been my imagination. I locked the door with shaking hands, moved away from the windows, tried to remember how to breathe. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I'd forgotten I still had it. Forgotten that the outside world existed beyond this estate and its invisible wars. A text from an unknown number. Not Dominic's, not Nia's. I opened it, and my heart stopped. The message was simple, accompanied by a video file. Press play, Lara. Let's talk about what you're really worth. I should have deleted it. Should have thrown my phone across the room. Should have done anything except what I did, which was press play with trembling fingers. The video was dark, grainy, shot from a fixed position in what looked like the same warehouse where Tyler was being held. But the chair was empty now. No Tyler, no newspaper. Just blood on concrete and the sound of someone breathing heavily off camera. Then a voice. Male. Accented. Brooklyn or Queens. Hard to tell. Lara Bennett. Filmmaker. 28. Lives in Bushwick with her friend Nia and a cat named Bergman. Works freelance. Always behind on rent. Dreams bigger than her bank account. A pause. Dominic Carver thinks you're special. Thinks you're worth protecting. Worth risking everything he's built. Worth showing the Marchettis that he's willing to go to war. The camera moved, swinging to show a different angle. A man stepped into frame, face obscured by shadows but body language suggesting confidence. Authority. But here's what you need to understand, sweetheart. Dominic doesn't protect people. He collects them, uses them, and when they stop being useful, he discards them. Just like he discarded your boyfriend when he served his purpose. Just like he'll discard you when this game stops being interesting. My hands were shaking so hard the phone screen blurred. So here's my offer. You walk away. Tonight, you leave that estate, you go back to your small life, and you forget Dominic Carver exists. Do that, and Tyler lives. Nia stays safe. You get to keep pretending the world is a fair place where good people get happy endings. The man moved closer to the camera, and for a moment I caught a glimpse of his face. Older, maybe 50s, with a scar running from temple to jaw and eyes that looked like they'd stopped finding anything surprising decades ago. Or you stay. You keep playing house with a man who's killed more people than you've met. You keep pretending this is romance instead of hostage negotiation, and everyone you love pays the price. Tyler first, then Nia, then that cat you named after a dead Swedish director. And you get to watch, knowing you chose this, knowing you could have walked away. The video cut to black. Then one final line of text appeared. You have until midnight. Choose wisely. I stood there in that elegant guest room, phone clutched in my trembling hands, listening to gunfire echoing through a mansion I didn't understand, and realized something terrible. I was going to have to choose between my safety and Dominic's war. Between the life I'd built and the one I'd stumbled into. Between being the woman who ran and the woman who stayed. And I had no idea which choice would destroy me faster. The gunfire stopped at 11:47. I know because I was watching the clock on my phone, counting down the 13 minutes I had left to make an impossible decision when the silence became louder than the violence. I stood frozen in the middle of that guest room, phone in one hand, the other pressed against my mouth to keep from screaming or crying or making any sound that would confirm I was still alive and terrified. The mansion had gone completely quiet. Not peaceful quiet, but the kind of silence that feels like held breath, like the space between lightning and thunder where you're waiting for impact. My door was still locked. The bookshelf with its hidden panic room was 10 feet away. I could have pressed that red leather volume, could have sealed myself in reinforced steel and waited for someone else to decide my fate. Instead, I unlocked my phone and watched the video again. Tyler's empty chair, the blood on concrete, that voice promising me a choice that wasn't really a choice at all. Leave and everyone lives. Stay and everyone dies. Except that wasn't quite true, was it? Because walking away didn't guarantee safety. It just meant I wouldn't be there to witness the consequences. I thought about Tyler, my ex-boyfriend who'd left me via text, who'd taken my grandmother's blanket and my self-worth and 3 years of my life. I'd asked Dominic to make him regret losing me, and now he was tied to a chair somewhere, beaten and terrified, paying for my moment of drunken vindictiveness. I thought about Nia, my best friend who'd tried to warn me, who'd thrown away Dominic's card and begged me not to be stupid. She was home right now, probably feeding Bergman and wondering why I wasn't answering her texts, completely unaware that her proximity to me had made her a target. And I thought about Dominic, a man I'd known for less than a week, but who'd somehow rewritten every assumption I had about danger and desire, and the distance between the two. A man who'd killed, or nearly killed, 3 people in front of me without hesitation. A man who touched me like I was something precious and looked at me like I was worth burning cities for. The rational choice was obvious. Leave, walk away, save everyone by removing myself from the equation. But rationality had never been my strong suit. I was halfway to the door when I heard footsteps in the hallway. Slow, measured, nothing like the running and shouting from before. A knock, 3 times, deliberate. "Lara, it's me," Dominic's voice. But I'd watched enough thrillers to know that voices could be faked, that trust could be weaponized. I pressed myself against the wall beside the door, trying to remember every self-defense move I'd ever learned. "I'm not opening it unless you prove it's you." A pause. Then, "You asked me why I helped you that night. I said you reminded me of my sister." But that wasn't the whole truth. The truth is, you looked at me like I was human. Like I was someone worth talking to instead of someone to fear. And I hadn't felt human in a very long time. Something in my chest cracked. I unlocked the door. Dominic stood in the hallway, and he looked like he'd been through a war. Blood on his shirt. Not his, I hoped. A new cut on his cheek. Exhaustion carved into every line of his face. But his eyes were alert, scanning me for injuries, checking to make sure I was intact. "Are you hurt?" His hands were on me before I could answer, gentle but thorough, checking for wounds I didn't have. "I'm fine. What happened?" 4 men. Professional, but not professional enough. They breached the south perimeter, made it as far as the east wing staircase before my security intercepted them. He guided me back into the room, closing the door behind us. 2 are in custody. 1's dead. 1 got away. Did they say what they wanted? You. Flat, factual, like he was reporting weather. They had zip ties, a van waiting outside the gates, a route planned to avoid traffic cameras. This wasn't reconnaissance. This was extraction. My legs went weak. I sat down on the edge of the bed before they could give out completely. The Marchettis. Sent professionals this time, not thugs from the gallery, actual operators. He crouched in front of me, hands on my knees, forcing eye contact. "Lara, this is escalating faster than I anticipated. Marco Marchetti isn't just trying to prove a point anymore. He's trying to start a war. And you're the opening shot." I pulled out my phone with shaking hands, showed him the video, watched his expression change from concern to fury so pure it was almost tangible. He played it twice, silent, jaw clenched so tight I could see the muscle jumping beneath skin. Then he stood, walking to the windows with controlled violence in every movement, like he was physically restraining himself from putting his fist through something. "Midnight," he said quietly. "They gave you until midnight to decide. It's 11:52. "I know." He turned back to face me, and his expression was terrible. Not angry, worse than angry. Resigned. "Lara, I need you to listen very carefully. What that man said in the video about me discarding people, about collecting and using them." He stopped, choosing words with visible effort. "That's not entirely wrong. My world doesn't allow for innocence. Everyone who gets close to me becomes either an asset or a liability. And I've made peace with that. I've accepted that I'm the kind of person who ruins things. Dominic. But you..." His voice cracked slightly, and hearing emotion break through his usual control was more frightening than the gunfire had been. "You're not supposed to be part of this. You were supposed to be one night in a bar, one moment of weakness where I pretended to be someone who could help instead of hurt. And I've turned you into a target. I've made you visible to people who use pain as currency. I've put your ex-boyfriend in a chair and your best friend on a list and given you exactly..." He checked his watch. 7 minutes to choose between your safety and my war." I stood up, moving toward him with more certainty than I felt. "Then tell me the truth. All of it. No sanitized version. No protecting me from the ugly parts. If I only have 7 minutes, I want to know what I'm actually choosing." He looked at me for a long moment, and I saw him making a calculation. Then he nodded. "My grandfather, Antonio Carver, came to New York in 1953 with nothing. Built an empire on the waterfront. Longshoremen's Union, shipping contracts, protection rackets. By the time my father inherited ICE, we controlled half the construction in Manhattan. Unions, permits, contracts, all of it ran through us. But it was dirty. Blood money. People died in buildings we cut corners on. Families got destroyed by loans they couldn't repay, and I grew up watching my father justify it by saying we provided jobs, stability, order. He sat down on the writing desk chair, suddenly looking older than his years. When I was 26, my sister Sophia found out about a building in the Bronx, residential complex we'd built with substandard materials to save money. She found inspections that had been bribed, safety reports that had been falsified. Found out that when it collapsed during a storm, killing 11 people, including 3 children, my father had paid off investigators to rule it an act of God. His hands were fists now, white-knuckled. Sophia wanted to go to the authorities, wanted to do the right thing, expose everything, let our family burn if that's what justice required. But I talked her out of it, convinced her that I could change things from the inside, that if I just had time, I could legitimize the businesses, make amends, build something clean. So she stayed quiet, trusted me, believed in me, and then she died. And then she died. He looked up at me, and his eyes were devastated. Car accident, brake lines cut. Message from the Vitales, rival family we'd been squeezing out of the waterfront contracts. They wanted to hurt my father, but they killed the only truly good person in our family. 22 years old, art history degree, whole life ahead of her. Dead because I convinced her to trust that I could fix things without burning them down. The room felt too small for the weight of what he was confessing. After the funeral, I made a choice. I could become worse than my father, hunt down everyone responsible, salt the earth, become the monster they all feared, or I could keep the promise I made to Sophia, change things, legitimize, find another way. So I've spent the last 3 years buying out dirty contracts, settling old debts, trying to transform blood money into something clean. And people like Marco Marchetti hate me for it. Because if I prove there's another way, what's their excuse? But you're still violent, I said quietly. You still hurt people. I watched you almost kill someone today. I know. No defensiveness, just acknowledgement. The past doesn't let go just because you want it to. I'm trying to build something legitimate, but I can't do it with words and lawyers when people like Marchetti operate with guns and fear. So yes, I'm still violent. I still have blood on my hands. I'm still the monster Sophia died believing could be reformed, but I'm trying, Lara. Every day, I'm trying to be someone she wouldn't be ashamed of. I understood then why he'd helped me, why he'd taken interest in a random woman in a bar asking for petty revenge. Because every time he chose mercy over violence, protection over destruction, he was proving to his dead sister's ghost that her faith in him wasn't misplaced. And by helping me, he'd endangered me, made me collateral in a war I didn't understand, between people I'd never met, over grudges older than my entire life. My phone buzzed. Midnight. A new message from the unknown number. Time's up. What's it going to be? I looked at Dominic. This man who'd confessed his failures with the kind of honesty that felt like bleeding, and realized something crucial. The choice wasn't between leaving or staying. It was between who I wanted to be, the woman who ran when things got hard, or the woman who stayed and fought for something that might be worth fighting for. I need to tell you something, I said, and my voice was steadier than I expected. About Tyler. About why your revenge worked so well. Dominic's expression shifted. Lara, 3 years ago, when I followed Tyler to New York, I had a fellowship offer. Documentary fellowship in Berlin. Full funding, mentorship with Werner Herzog's production team. Dream opportunity. But Tyler said long distance would kill us, that I'd regret choosing my career over our relationship, that if I really loved him, I'd come to New York instead. The words were tumbling out now, confession matching confession. So I came, and he was happy for maybe 6 months. Then I started getting freelance work, started making connections, started building something of my own, and suddenly I was too busy, too ambitious, too focused on my career instead of supporting his. He wanted me small and grateful and eternally in his debt for letting me follow him here. Lara, you don't have to. Yes, I do. I moved closer, needing him to understand. When I asked you to make him regret losing me, I wasn't just asking for revenge on a bad breakup. I was asking you to destroy the man who'd spent 3 years systematically dismantling my confidence so he could feel bigger. The man who took credit for my work, who dismissed my ideas, who made me believe I was lucky he tolerated my ambitions. Dominic was very still, listening with complete attention. So when you ruined him, When you took his job and his girlfriend and his comfortable life, you weren't just hurting an innocent man. You were giving consequences to someone who'd never faced any. And I know that doesn't make it right. I know I'm complicit in whatever happened to him. But I need you to understand, I'm not some innocent bystander who accidentally got caught in your world. I invited myself in. I asked for this. No, Dominic said quietly. You asked for justice. I gave you war. There's a difference. Is there? Before he could answer, his phone rang. He glanced at the screen, and his expression changed. Alarm, then calculation, then something that might have been hope. I need to take this, he answered, voice clipped and professional. Talk to me. I watched him listen, watched his free hand curl into a fist, watched the careful mask of control slip enough that I could see the violence underneath. You're certain? Cross-reference with traffic cams. Confirm the timeline. I want eyes on the location in 15 minutes. A pause. No. No one moves until I get there. If this is a trap, I want to know before we spring it. He hung up, looked at me with an expression I couldn't read. They found Tyler. My heart lurched. Is he alive? For now. He's being held at a warehouse in Red Hook, industrial area, mostly abandoned at night. My security team tracked the van from the video, cross-referenced with known Marchetti properties. It's definitely them. Then we go get him. No? Firm? Non-negotiable. I go get him. You stay here where it's safe. Dominic, I can't just sit here while I what? Walk into what's almost certainly a trap. Risk getting myself killed so the Marchettis can eliminate their main obstacle. This is exactly what they want, Lara. They're using Tyler as bait to draw me out. Then don't go. He looked at me like I'd suggested he stop breathing. I have to. He's in that warehouse because of choices I made, because I helped you when I should have walked away. I can't. His voice broke slightly. I can't let another innocent person die because of me. And I understood. This wasn't about Tyler. Not really. This was about Sophia. About the building that collapsed. About every person who'd ever paid the price for being connected to Dominic Carver. This was about a man trying to prove he could save someone. Anyone. Even if it cost him everything. Then I'm coming with you. Absolutely not. You said I could help. You said you'd let me be part of this instead of just something you protected. So let me help. I grabbed my phone, pulled up the Notes app where I'd been tracking details since this started. I'm a documentary filmmaker, Dominic. I know how to research, how to investigate, how to find the story underneath the story. And I've been paying attention. The gallery attack, the breach tonight, this video, they're escalating, but they're also getting sloppy, desperate, like they're running out of time. He studied me, and I saw the calculation happening behind his eyes. What are you thinking? I'm thinking this isn't just about you and the Marchettis. There's something else happening. Some reason they need to force your hand now instead of waiting, planning, doing this smart. I started pacing, the way I did when I was solving narrative problems in my documentaries. They took Tyler to draw you out, but they also sent me a video giving me the option to leave. Why? If I'm just bait, they don't need my cooperation. Unless I stopped. Unless they need me to do something. Or stop doing something. Or my phone buzzed. Another message from the unknown number. This time, it wasn't a video. It was a photograph. Me and Dominic at the bar where we'd met, taken from across the room, slightly blurred but unmistakably us. My face was visible, caught in the moment right before I'd confessed about Tyler. And beside the photo, a single line of text. You've been part of this longer than you think. Check your email from 3 months ago. Search for Marchetti. My blood went cold. Lara? Dominic moved toward me, but I was already opening my email, scrolling back through months of newsletters and spam and work correspondence. There, 3 months ago, a message from an address I didn't recognize. Subject line, documentary opportunity. I clicked it, hands shaking so hard I almost dropped my phone. The email was professional, polite, offering me a paid opportunity to research and film a documentary about gentrification in Red Hook, about old industrial buildings being converted into luxury condos, about families being displaced, about the companies behind the development. One of the companies listed was Carver Industries. But there was another name too, A smaller firm I'd never heard of. Marchetti Property Development. Oh God, I whispered. Dominic was reading over my shoulder now. When did you receive this? 3 months ago. Right after Tyler and I had that huge fight about my career. I was looking for paid work and this seemed legitimate. So The realization hit me like physical force. I responded. I said I was interested. I started researching the companies, looking into the development deal, finding connections between Carver Industries and city officials, between building permits and suspiciously timed inspections. Show me. I pulled up my research folder. Months of work I'd compiled while Tyler was at the office and I was trying to build something that mattered. Names, dates, photographs, documents I'd found through public records requests and interviews with displaced residents. Dominic's face went white as he read. Lara, this building. The one in Red Hook they wanted you to investigate. This is the site where Sophia died. The development project I've been trying to block for 3 years because it's on land the Marchettis want to develop. If they can prove I'm using my influence to obstruct legitimate business, they can file federal charges. Get me out of the way legally instead of violently. And I was supposed to be the one who found the evidence. I finished what understanding flooding through me with sickening clarity. They were using me to investigate you, to find connections they could use, to build a case that would destroy you without them having to fire a single shot. But then I met you at that bar, helped you, made you visible as someone under my protection instead of someone working against me, and their entire plan collapsed. We stared at each other, the full scope of what had happened finally coming into focus. I hadn't stumbled into Dominic's world by accident. I'd been planted there, used, turned into a weapon against a man I'd never met, for a war I didn't understand, 3 months before I'd ever seen his face. My phone buzzed one final time. A video. Tyler again, but this time he was looking directly at the camera, reading from a script someone was holding off screen. His voice was hoarse, terrified, but the words were clear. Lara, they want you to bring the research, all of it. Everything you found about Carver Industries and the Red Hook development. Bring it to the warehouse address they're texting you. Come alone. If you do, I go free. If you don't, his voice cracked. If you don't, they're going to kill me. And then they're going to kill Naya. And they showed me pictures. Lara, they know where she lives. They know her schedule. They know everything. Please, please just give them what they want. The video cut off. A text appeared immediately after. Address, 847 Van Brunt Street, Red Hook. You have 1 hour. Come alone. Bring everything, or everyone you love dies screaming. I looked at Dominic, and I saw my own helplessness reflected in his eyes. This is the choice, I said quietly. Not midnight, not leave or stay. This, sacrifice you to save Tyler and Nia, or sacrifice them to protect you. No, his voice was hard, certain. There's a third option. What? He smiled then. Not kind, not warm, but predatory. The smile of someone who'd been playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers. We give them exactly what they want, he said. And we burn their entire operation to the ground in the process. Dominic's plan was elegant in its simplicity and terrifying in its execution. We would give the Marchettis exactly what they wanted. Me, alone, carrying all my research on Carver Industries and the Red Hook development. Except the research I'd be carrying would be real, damning, and completely useless to them because every document would be tagged with metadata that would trace back to their own operation. Every file I handed over would become evidence of their conspiracy, their manipulation, their months-long scheme to use an innocent filmmaker as a weapon. It's called a poison pill, Dominic explained as his tech specialist. A woman named Chen, who looked about 19 and spoke in rapid-fire technical jargon, worked on my laptop in the estate's security room. We make the bait irresistible. But the moment they bite down, it destroys them from the inside. I watched Chen's fingers fly across the keyboard, embedding tracking software into every PDF, every image file, every document I'd compiled over 3 months of research. She was coding in backdoor access that would turn my laptop into a surveillance device the moment they connected it to their network. This feels like a spy movie, I said, trying to keep my voice steady and failing. It's not, Dominic replied, checking his watch for the 3rd time in as many minutes. Spy movies have heroes and villains. This is just people making impossible choices and hoping they chose right. It was 12:47 a.m. We had 13 minutes before I needed to leave for Red Hook. 13 minutes before I walked into a warehouse controlled by people who'd already proven they were willing to torture and kill to get what they wanted. Chen finished, closed my laptop with a decisive click. Done. The moment they access any file, we'll have remote access to their entire network. Video, audio, files, everything. Plus, I've embedded a secondary trigger. If they try to delete or move the files, it automatically uploads everything to a secure server and sends copies to 3 different federal agencies. What if they just shoot me and take the laptop? I asked, which felt like a reasonable question. They won't, Dominic said with certainty that should have been comforting but somehow wasn't. You're worth more alive. They need you to testify, to corroborate the research, to be their witness against me. Dead, you're just another casualty. Alive, you're their entire case. Unless they're lying and they just plan to kill all of us. He didn't answer, which was answer enough. The security room was underground, all concrete and monitors and the steady hum of servers. Dominic's team moved around us with military efficiency, checking weapons, reviewing building layouts, coordinating positions. There were 8 of them, all former military or law enforcement, all completely loyal to Dominic in a way that suggested either excellent pay or genuine respect. Maybe both. Let's go over it again, Dominic said, pulling up a 3-dimensional schematic of the warehouse on the main monitor. You enter here, through the main loading door on Van Brunt. The building is 4 stories, mostly gutted, abandoned since 2019. The Marchettis have been using it as a staging ground for shipments, completely off books, no official ownership trail. How do you know all this? Because I owned it until 6 months ago, when I sold it to a shell company as part of legitimizing my holdings. Didn't realize until tonight that the shell company was Marchetti controlled. He zoomed in on the 2nd floor. Tyler's most likely being held here, in what used to be the administrative offices. Multiple exits, easy to secure, far enough from street level that screaming won't attract attention. My stomach turned at the casual mention of screaming. My team will be positioned here, here, and here. He continued, marking points on the schematic. Close enough to respond within 30 seconds, far enough that they won't be detected. You'll be wearing this. He held up what looked like a necklace. Delicate silver chain with a small pendant. Microphone and tracker. Audio only, no camera. We'll hear everything. If you say the word filmmaker, that's the signal that you're in immediate danger, and we move in regardless of tactical advantage. I took the necklace, felt its weight. It looked like something you'd buy at a boutique in Soho, completely innocuous, completely deadly. What if they search me? I asked. They will. But Chen designed this to pass as jewelry. The actual tech is embedded in a way that won't trigger metal detectors or physical inspection unless they literally take it apart. And if they make me take it off, then we're operating blind and coming in hot. His expression was grim, which is why you don't take it off. No matter what they ask, no matter what they threaten. That necklace is the only thing keeping you alive once you walk through that door. I put it on, felt the cool metal settle against my collarbone. Wondered if this was what soldiers felt like before deployment. The strange calm that comes from accepting you might not survive the next few hours. Lara, Dominic's hand found mine, squeezed gently. You don't have to do this. We can find another way. I can go in instead. Or we can call the FBI. Or we can... There is no other way. I squeezed back, surprised by my own certainty. They want me. They've wanted me since before I even knew you existed. And Tyler and Nia are in danger because of research I did, questions I asked, connections I made. I have to finish this. You didn't know, but I do now. I pulled my hand away, needing the distance to stay focused. And I need you to promise me something. If this goes wrong, if they figure out what we're doing, or if the plan falls apart, you get Tyler and Nia out. You don't worry about me. You don't try to be a hero. You save them and you let me face the consequences of my own choices. I can't promise that. You have to... My voice was harder than I'd ever heard it. Because if you don't, if you throw away everything you've built trying to save me, then Sophia died for nothing. Then every choice you've made to be different, to be better, was just performance. So promise me you'll choose the mission over the person. Something in his expression cracked. That's not fair. Nothing about this is fair. I picked up my laptop bag, checked to make sure everything was inside. My research, 3 months of work that was about to become either salvation or damnation. But it's what we have, so promise me, Dominic, or I don't go. He stared at me for a long moment, and I saw the war happening behind his eyes. The man who wanted to protect me versus the man who'd learned that protection sometimes meant letting go. I promise, he finally said, and I knew he was lying. But I nodded anyway, because we both needed the fiction to function. The drive to Red Hook took 23 minutes. I sat in the back of a black SUV with tinted windows, driver silent and professional, watching Brooklyn pass by in streaks of streetlight and shadow. We took the BQE, then local streets through industrial neighborhoods that looked post-apocalyptic at 1 a.m, warehouses and auto body shops and vacant lots where buildings used to be. My phone sat in my lap, screen dark, but I knew Dominic was tracking my location through the necklace. Knew his team was already in position, scattered around the warehouse in vehicles and rooftops and shadowed doorways. Knew that every breath I took was being transmitted to people whose job was to keep me alive. I should have been terrified, should have been shaking, crying, begging the driver to turn around. Instead, I felt strangely focused, like I'd been preparing for this moment my entire life without knowing it. All those documentaries I'd made about people in impossible situations, people who'd survived trauma and violence and systematic oppression, maybe I'd been studying them, learning from them, understanding that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward anyway. The warehouse appeared on my right, 4 stories of industrial brick and broken windows, graffiti covering the lower levels, chain link fence that had been cut open in multiple places. The loading door was half open, spilling yellow light onto cracked asphalt. The driver pulled over a block away, engine idling. "This is as close as I can get without being spotted," he said, speaking for the first time. His voice was younger than I expected, tinged with an accent I couldn't place. "You need to walk from here. Keep your phone on. Don't run. And Ms. Bennett?" He met my eyes in the rearview mirror. "Mr. Carver, he's a good man trying to do right by people who don't make it easy. Whatever happens in there, remember that." I nodded, not trusting my voice, and stepped out into the October night. The walk to the warehouse felt eternal and instantaneous. My footsteps echoed on pavement, laptop bag heavy against my shoulder, the necklace a cold weight against my skin. I could hear my own breathing, could feel my pulse hammering in my throat, could taste copper fear on my tongue. The loading door grew larger, the light grew brighter, and then I was stepping through, into a cavernous space that smelled like motor oil and rust and something organic I didn't want to identify. "Laura Bennett," a voice called from somewhere above me. "So glad you could make it." I looked up. A man stood on the second-floor catwalk, backlit so I could only see his silhouette. But I recognized the voice from the video, Brooklyn accent, confident authority, someone used to being obeyed. "I brought what you asked for." I called back, pleased that my voice didn't shake. "I can see that." He started descending a metal staircase, footsteps ringing against corrugated steel. "The laptop, the files, all that lovely research you've been doing on Dominic Carver and his criminal empire disguised as legitimate business." He reached ground level, stepped into the light, and I got my first clear look at Marco Marchetti. Older than I expected, early 60s, with iron gray hair slicked back and a face that looked like it had been handsome once, before time and violence wore it down. Expensive suit, hand-tailored, probably Italian, gold watch, gold ring. The uniform of a man who'd made it out of the streets but never quite left them behind. "You're younger than I imagined," he said, circling me slowly like I was merchandise he was considering purchasing. When my people told me about this documentary filmmaker digging into Red Hook development deals, I pictured someone older, more experienced, more cynical. Instead, I get a 28-year-old idealist with a cat named after a Swedish director. "You seem to know a lot about me." "I know everything about you." He stopped in front of me, close enough that I could smell his cologne, something woody and expensive. "I know you followed your boyfriend to New York and gave up a fellowship in Berlin. I know you've been freelancing for 3 years, always broke, always struggling, always one rejection away from giving up. I know your mother died when you were 16 and your father remarried someone you can't stand. I know you're talented and desperate and exactly the kind of person who'd say yes when someone offered you paid work. No questions asked." My skin crawled with the violation of it. The email, the documentary opportunity. That was you. That was me, he confirmed, clearly pleased with himself. Beautiful setup, really. I needed someone to investigate Carver, to find the connections between his legitimate businesses and his criminal past. Someone innocent, someone credible, someone who'd never be suspected of working with me. And then there you were, talented filmmaker, actively looking for work, perfect cover story. All I had to do was point you in the right direction and let you do what you do best. Ask questions, find answers, build the case that would finally put Dominic Carver where he belongs. In prison or in the ground. I'm flexible. He gestured toward my laptop bag. So, let's see what you found. All those files, all those connections, all that evidence you've been compiling for 3 months. Hand it over. I didn't move. Tyler first. You said if I brought the research, you'd let him go. Did I? Marco's smile was cold, calculating. Memory's funny like that. I believe I said he'd go free if you cooperated. And we're not done cooperating yet. I want to see him. I want proof he's alive. Of course you do. He pulled out his phone, typed something, and waited. 30 seconds later, a door opened on the second-floor catwalk. 2 men emerged, dragging Tyler between them. My ex-boyfriend looked worse than in the video, face swollen, shirt torn and blood-stained, moving like every step caused pain. But he was conscious, eyes tracking movement, and when he saw me, his expression collapsed into something between relief and horror. Lara, he tried to call out, but his voice was wrecked, barely audible. Don't give them anything. One of the men hit him, casual, efficient, the kind of violence that suggested practice. Tyler's head snapped back, and fresh blood bloomed from his split lip. Stop! I took a step forward before I could stop myself. I'm cooperating. Just stop hurting him. Then cooperate. Marco held out his hand. Laptop, phone, everything. I handed over the laptop bag first, watched him unzip it and pull out my computer. He opened it, powered it on, waited for it to boot up. Didn't notice or didn't care that I was still wearing the necklace, that every word we spoke was being transmitted to Dominic and his team. Password, he demanded. I gave it to him. Watched him navigate to my research folder, click through files, his expression growing more satisfied with each document. Property deeds, building permits, inspection reports, photographs of Dominic meeting with city officials. He narrated, clicking through with increasing speed. Email correspondence, financial records. Everything we need to prove he's been using his influence to obstruct legitimate development. This is perfect. Lara, this is exactly what we need. Then let Tyler go. Let both of us go. You have what you wanted. Not quite. He closed the laptop, looked at me with those cold, calculating eyes. There's one more thing I need. Your testimony. You see, documents can be faked. Evidence can be manufactured. But a witness? Someone credible? Someone with no connection to our organization? Someone who discovered all this independently? That's priceless. My blood went cold. What are you asking? I'm asking you to testify. Federal grand jury, U.S. Attorney's Office, the whole production. You'll tell them how you uncovered Dominic Carver's criminal conspiracy, how he's been using threats and violence to control development in Red Hook, how he's corrupted city officials and obstructed legitimate business, and in exchange, you and Tyler walk away, clean, safe, free to rebuild your little lives and pretend none of this happened. And if I refuse, then you and Tyler and your friend Nia all have unfortunate accidents. Car crashes, muggings gone wrong, gas leaks. I'm creative when I need to be. He moved closer, voice dropping to something almost gentle. But you're not going to refuse, Alara, because you're a good person, and good people don't let innocent people die when they can prevent it. He was right, and he knew it. And I hated him for it. I need time to think. You have 10 seconds. After that, I tell my men to start with Nia. She's home right now, by the way, walking her dog around the block, completely unaware that there's a van parked across the street, watching her, waiting for my call. You're bluffing. Am I? He pulled out his phone, showed me a live video feed. Nia, wearing her favorite purple jacket, walking our building's hallway with Bergman on a leash. The timestamp said 1:32 a.m., real time. My heart stopped. Please don't hurt her. Then say yes. Agree to testify. Help me put Dominic Carver away for the rest of his life. or watch everyone you love die because you couldn't make the hard choice. I looked up at Tyler on the catwalk, broken and bleeding and terrified. Thought about Naya, walking home completely unaware she was being hunted. Thought about Dominic, listening to this entire conversation, understanding that every second I hesitated was a second closer to people dying. And I thought about Sophia, Dominic's sister, who'd wanted to do the right thing, who'd wanted to expose corruption and bring justice, who'd died because she'd trusted her brother to find another way. I understood her choice now. The terrible clarity that comes from knowing you're the only person who can stop something horrible from happening, even if the cost is everything you are. "I'll do it," I said quietly. "I'll testify. Just let them go. Let Tyler go, call off whoever's watching Nia, and I'll do whatever you want." Marco smiled, triumphant. Smart girl. Now, the lights went out. Not flickering, not gradual, complete and instantaneous darkness. The warehouse disappeared, replaced by blackness so absolute I couldn't see my own hands. Then gunfire. Not the scattered shots from the estate breach, but coordinated, professional suppressive fire from multiple positions. I dropped to the ground, covered my head with my arms, felt the concrete vibrate with the impact of bullets hitting metal. "Lara," Dominic's voice, somewhere in the chaos. "Stay down." More gunfire, shouting in Italian and English. The sound of bodies hitting metal catwalks, of people running, of Marco Marchetti screaming orders I couldn't parse through the noise. Something grabbed my arm, hard, painful, dragging me across concrete. I tried to scream, tried to fight, but a hand clamped over my mouth. "It's me," Dominic's voice in my ear, and I went limp with relief. "We're leaving. Now." He pulled me toward what I hoped was an exit. But in the darkness, with my eyes useless and my ears overwhelmed by gunfire, I had no sense of direction. Just trust that he knew where he was going, that he wouldn't lead me into worse danger than we were already in. We reached a door. He kicked it open, and suddenly we were outside, in an alley behind the warehouse, cold air hitting my face like a blessing. "Can you run?" he asked. "Yes." "Then run." We ran. Behind us, the gunfire continued, punctuated by the wail of approaching sirens. Police, maybe, or fire department, drawn by reports of shots fired in Red Hook. Ahead of us, a black SUV screeched to a halt, rear door flying open. "Get in!" the driver shouted. Dominic shoved me toward the vehicle, and I scrambled inside, him right behind me. The door slammed shut and we were moving, tires squealing, acceleration pressing me back into leather seats. "What about Tyler?" I managed to gasp out. "And Nia. They have people watching Nia." Team 2 extracted Tyler from the catwalk, Dominic said, breathing hard, checking his phone. "He's injured but alive, already en route to a private medical facility. And Nia," he showed me his phone, a text from someone named Martinez. "Package secure. No hostile contact. Target en route to safe house." "I don't understand," I said, adrenaline crashing into confusion. "What just happened?" Dominic's expression was grim. "What happened is that Marco Marchetti just admitted, on recording, that he's been conducting illegal surveillance, making death threats, and attempting to coerce false testimony. Everything he said is evidence. Everything his men did is on video. And in about," he checked his watch, "3 minutes. That warehouse is going to be swarming with FBI agents who received an anonymous tip about weapons trafficking and kidnapping. You called the FBI?" I called everyone. He was already typing new messages, coordinating something I couldn't follow. FBI, NYPD, U.S. Attorney's Office, even the New York Times. Because you were right, Lara. The Marchettis weren't just after me. They were trying to destroy everything I've built, every legitimate business I've created, every promise I made to my sister, and I couldn't let that happen. The SUV made a hard turn, and I grabbed the door handle to steady myself. Through the rear window, I could see flashing lights converging on the warehouse. Police cruisers, unmarked sedans, SWAT vans, the full weight of law enforcement descending on Marco Marchetti's operation. "He's going to come after us," I said. "When he realizes what we did, when he gets out on bail or cuts a deal, he's going to..." "He's not getting out." Dominic's voice was cold, final. "The evidence we have doesn't just prove tonight's crimes. It proves 30 years of criminal conspiracy, including the building collapse that killed Sophia. Documents you found, Lara, connections you made. You didn't just help me protect myself. You helped me get justice for my sister. I stared at him, understanding finally clicking into place. That's why you really helped me that night. Not because I reminded you of Sophia. Because you saw someone who could do what she wanted to do. Expose corruption. Find truth. Make things right. Maybe, he said quietly. Or maybe I just liked the way you smiled at me like I was human. The SUV pulled into an underground parking garage, somewhere in Manhattan I didn't recognize. We got out, and Dominic led me to an elevator that required a keycard to access. Where are we? I asked as the doors closed. Somewhere safe, somewhere they'll never find you. Somewhere we can figure out what happens next. The elevator rose smoothly, silently, and I watched the floor numbers climb. 10, 15, 20, until we reached the penthouse level. The doors opened directly into an apartment that looked like it belonged in an architecture magazine. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, minimalist furniture, art that I suspected was original, and waiting in the living room, Nia. I ran to her, pulled her into a hug so tight I heard her breath whoosh out. You're okay. You're safe. Oh God, I thought. I'm fine, she said, voice muffled against my shoulder. Some very serious men in black suits showed up, said you'd sent them, and drove me here without explaining anything. Lara, what the hell is going on? Before I could answer, another door opened. 2 men emerged, supporting Tyler between them. My ex-boyfriend looked worse up close, face swollen almost beyond recognition, moving like every step hurt. But he was alive, conscious, safe. He saw me and his expression crumpled. Lara, I'm so sorry. For everything. For the way I left you, for taking your things, for being so goddamn selfish that I didn't see what I had until… Tyler, stop. I interrupted gently. You don't owe me anything, and I don't owe you anything. We're even now. You're safe, and that's all that matters. He nodded, tears cutting tracks through the blood and bruises on his face. Dominic's phone rang. He stepped away to answer it, voice low and urgent. I watched him through the windows, this man who'd turned my quest for petty revenge into something infinitely more complicated. This man who killed and saved with equal efficiency. This man who'd chosen me, for reasons I still didn't fully understand, and changed everything. He hung up, returned to our group, and his expression was carefully neutral. Marco Marchetti has been arrested. 15 counts including kidnapping, witness intimidation, weapons trafficking, and criminal conspiracy. Federal charges, no bail. His entire operation is being dismantled as we speak. Relief crashed over me so intensely my knees went weak. There's more, Dominic continued. The research you compiled, Lara, all those documents about the Red Hook development, the building that collapsed, the corruption Sophia wanted to expose, it's all admissible now. Evidence in a federal case, which means, he stopped, started again. Which means my sister's death is finally going to mean something. Justice. Real justice. Not the kind I can buy or threaten or kill for, the kind she believed in. I saw it then. The emotion he'd been holding back. The grief and relief and vindication all crashing together in someone who'd spent years learning not to feel anything too deeply. Dominic, I started to say. But Nia interrupted. Wait, someone explain what the hell happened. Because last I checked, Lara was in love with Tyler. Then Tyler dumped her. And now there's kidnapping and the FBI and… She looked between me and Dominic. Are you two together? Is that what this is? I don't know what this is, I admitted, looking at Dominic. I don't know what we are or what happens next or how I'm supposed to go back to my normal life after everything that just happened. You can't, he said simply. Your normal life is gone, Lara. The moment you walked into that warehouse, the moment you agreed to testify against Marco Marchetti, you became visible to every enemy I have. And I have a lot of enemies. So what are you saying? He moved closer, and everyone else in that penthouse seemed to fade away. I'm saying you have a choice. You can walk away. I'll give you money, new identity, relocation to anywhere you want. You'll be safe, anonymous, free to rebuild your life somewhere Marco Marchetti and his associates will never find you. Or you stay. You accept that your life is complicated now, dangerous now, connected to mine in ways that can't be undone. You helped me finish what Sophia started, legitimizing the businesses, exposing corruption, turning blood money into something clean. You make the documentaries that matter. You tell the stories people are afraid to tell. And you let me, his voice dropped, became something raw and honest. You let me try to be the man my sister believed I could be. The man you still somehow seem to think I am. That's not a choice, I whispered. That's a marriage proposal disguised as a hostage negotiation. Maybe it's both. I looked at Nia, who was staring at me with wide eyes. Looked at Tyler, who'd stopped bleeding and started understanding. Looked at Dominic, this impossible man who'd entered my life through revenge and somehow become something else entirely. I need 24 hours, I said finally, to process what just happened, to understand what I'm agreeing to figure out who I am now that everything I thought I knew has changed. 24 hours, he agreed. And then, before I could answer, every phone in the room buzzed simultaneously. Dominic checked his, and his expression went from neutral to alarmed so fast I felt my pulse spike. What? I asked. He turned his phone toward me. A news alert from the New York Times. FBI raids Marchetti Property Development. CEO arrested on federal charges. Evidence suggests 30-year criminal conspiracy involving multiple city officials. That's good, right? Nia said. That's what you wanted? Yes, Dominic said slowly. But look at the byline. Look at who broke the story. I read the name, and my blood went cold. The byline read, by Amanda Chen, investigative reporter. I stared at the name, my brain struggling to connect the dots through exhaustion and adrenaline crash. Amanda Chen, the same name as Dominic's tech specialist. The 19-year-old who'd embedded tracking software in my laptop less than 2 hours ago. She's a reporter, I asked, though even as the words left my mouth, I knew it was more complicated than that. Dominic corrected, already dialing a number. She worked investigative journalism before I hired her. Pulitzer nominee at 23, I thought she'd given it up. The phone rang twice before a familiar voice answered. Before you yell, hear me out. Dominic put it on speaker. You broke the story after I specifically said we'd control the narrative, manage the release of information, protect everyone involved. You went directly to the Times, because your way would have taken months, Chen replied, completely unapologetic. Federal investigations move slow. Prosecutors are cautious. Evidence gets buried, witnesses get intimidated, and people like Marco Marchetti find ways to make problems disappear. But a front-page story in the New York Times? That's irreversible. That's public. That forces action. That's also dangerous, Dominic said, voice tight with controlled anger. Every detail you publish makes Lara more visible, makes her a target not just for the Marchettis, but for every journalist looking for the human interest angle. Filmmaker who brought down crime family. Do you have any idea what you've done? I've made sure justice actually happens. Chen's voice was steady, certain. And yeah, it's messy and dangerous and not what you wanted. But it's right. Sophia would have wanted this. She would have wanted the truth in the open, not buried in sealed federal documents that no one ever reads. The line went dead. Dominic stood there, phone in hand, looking more rattled than I'd seen him since the gallery attack, because Chen was right and he knew it. Sophia had wanted exposure, transparency, truth, and we'd just gotten it in the most explosive way possible. This changes everything, he said quietly. How? Nia asked. Because of course she would be the one to demand clarity while the rest of us were still processing. Because now the story has a name, a face, a person. Dominic looked at me, and I saw genuine fear in his eyes. Lara's not anonymous anymore. By tomorrow morning, every news outlet in the city will be trying to find her, interview her, get her version of events, and not all of them will be friendly. Some will be working for the Marchettis. I finished, understanding flooding through me, trying to discredit me, find inconsistencies, prove I'm unreliable or biased or connected to you in ways that undermine the evidence. Exactly. He moved to the windows, looking out at Manhattan like he was searching for threats in the city lights. The next 72 hours are critical. Before the story solidifies, before public opinion forms, we need to control the narrative, which means you need to decide, Lara. Right now. Not in 24 hours. Now. Decide what? Whether you're going to be a victim or a witness. Whether you're going to hide from this or step into it. Whether you trust me enough to let me guide you through what comes next. I looked at Nia, who'd gone pale. Looked at Tyler, who was being tended to by one of Dominic's medical people, and couldn't have cared less about media strategy. Looked at this penthouse that felt less like sanctuary and more like the eye of a storm. I need air, I said. I need to think. The terrace. Dominic gestured toward a door I hadn't noticed. 32nd floor. You'll be safe there. I stepped outside into October cold and Manhattan noise, distant sirens, the rumble of traffic, the ambient sound of a city that never actually sleeps. The terrace was smaller than I expected. With tasteful furniture I ignored in favor of standing at the railing, looking down at streets that suddenly felt very far away. Behind me, the door opened. Naya, are you okay? She asked, which was possibly the most absurd question given the circumstances, but I appreciated it anyway. I don't know what I am. The wind caught my hair, and I tasted exhaust and altitude and something that might have been freedom or might have been falling. 3 days ago, I was editing B-roll footage and eating ramen for dinner. Now I'm on a terrace in a penthouse owned by a man who kills people, and apparently I just helped bring down a crime family, and my face is about to be all over the news, and I have no idea who I am anymore. You're Lara, Nia said simply. My best friend. The person who makes documentaries about people no one else notices. The person who cares so much about truth that she followed a lead for 3 months without getting paid. You haven't changed. The circumstances changed. But what if I like it? The words came out before I could stop them. Confession I didn't want to examine too closely. What if part of me liked watching Tyler get destroyed? Liked feeling powerful? Liked being important enough that dangerous men go to war over me? What does that make me? Human, Nia said, moving to stand beside me. It makes you human. You're allowed to feel complicated things about complicated situations. You're allowed to want revenge and justice simultaneously. You're allowed to be attracted to someone dangerous while also being terrified of them. I'm not attracted to... Lara. I have eyes. She bumped my shoulder gently. The way you look at him. The way he looks at you. That's not just trauma bonding or Stockholm syndrome. That's something real. Terrifying and probably doomed, but real. I didn't argue, because she was right and denial felt pointless. So what do? I asked. Do I hide? Do I go public? Do I let Dominic control the narrative? Or do I take control myself? I can't answer that. Nia's voice was gentle but firm. But I can tell you what I see. I see someone who's been making herself smaller for years. First for Tyler, then for jobs that didn't value her, then for a city that's really good at making talented people feel replaceable. And now you have a chance to be big, visible, undeniable. And that's scary as hell, but maybe it's also what you've been working toward your entire life. Before I could respond, the terrace door opened again. Dominic, carrying 2 glasses of whiskey. I'll leave you 2 alone, Nia said, squeezing my hand before heading inside. Dominic handed me a glass. You don't have to drink it, but it helps. I took it, let the liquid burn down my throat, felt warmth spread through my chest. We stood in silence for a moment. 2 people who'd collided by accident and somehow become entangled in ways neither of us had planned. Tell me what happens if I say yes, I said finally. If I stay, if I step into this, what does my life look like? Complicated. He took a drink, choosing words carefully. You'll need security, at least for the next 6 months, until the trial ends and the Marchetti's organization is fully dismantled. You'll need media training, legal representation, probably therapy because what you've been through would break most people. You'll be scrutinized, investigated, analyzed by everyone from federal prosecutors to conspiracy theorists on Reddit. Sounds terrible. It is. He looked at me, and his expression was painfully honest. But you'll also have resources, funding for your documentaries, access to stories people are afraid to tell, protection to go places other filmmakers can't. And you'll have me, for whatever that's worth. What are you worth? Depends on the day. A ghost of a smile. Sometimes I'm the monster everyone says I am. Sometimes I'm the man my sister believed I could be. Most days I'm somewhere in between, trying to figure out which direction to lean. And if I help you lean toward the better version, what do you give me? Everything. No hesitation. Money, protection, freedom to make the art that matters. And something else. Something I haven't given anyone since Sophia died. What? Trust. He moved closer, and the space between us felt electric. I'm trusting you with information that could destroy me. With access to my organization, my people, my vulnerabilities, I'm trusting you not to weaponize that against me when things get hard. Because they will get hard, Lara. This isn't a romance where love conquers all. This is real life, where people make impossible choices and live with the consequences. Then why? I turned to face him fully. Why trust me? Why risk everything for someone you barely know? Because you see me. His hand came up, cupping my face with devastating gentleness. Not Dominic Carver, the name that makes people nervous. Not the criminal trying to go legitimate. Not the monster or the saint. You see me? The person underneath all the rest. And I haven't been seen like that in a very long time. Our faces were inches apart. I could feel his breath, could see the gold flecks in his dark eyes, could sense the tension in his body like a live wire. If I stay, I whispered, if I say yes to this, I need you to understand something. I'm not going to be your possession. I'm not going to be the woman you protect and control. I'm going to be your partner. Equal voice, equal say, equal risk. Can you handle that? I don't know, he admitted. I've spent my entire life being the person who makes decisions, who controls outcomes, who protects people whether they want protection or not. Giving that up? Trusting someone else to navigate danger beside me instead of behind me. That's harder than any other change I've made. But will you try? For you? His thumb brushed my cheekbone. I'll try. I kissed him. Not gently, not tentatively, but with all the fear and fury and desperate need that had been building since the moment I'd smiled at him in a bar and asked for something I didn't understand. He responded immediately, one hand sliding into my hair, the other pulling me against him with enough force to eliminate all space between us. The kiss tasted like whiskey and danger, and promises neither of us was sure we could keep. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against mine. Is that a yes? He asked. It's a yes. We went back inside, and I felt different, transformed, like I'd crossed some invisible line between who I'd been and who I was becoming. Nia took one look at my face and smiled, understanding without explanation. So what's the plan? I asked Dominic. First, we get everyone medical attention and rest. Tomorrow, we meet with lawyers and plan our statement for the media. Day after, you do one carefully controlled interview, someone trustworthy, someone who will let you tell your story without twisting it. We control the narrative before it controls us. And the Marchettis? In custody? But organizations like theirs don't die just because the head gets cut off. There will be retaliation attempts, power struggles, people trying to prove they're capable of taking over. Which is why security isn't optional. For any of us, Tyler, cleaned up and bandaged, spoke for the first time since we'd arrived. I should go. Get out of your way. This isn't my fight. Actually, Dominic said, you're a witness too. You were kidnapped, tortured, used as leverage. The prosecutors are going to want your testimony, which means you're not safe yet either. Great, Tyler said flatly. So I get dumped, destroyed, kidnapped, and now I'm stuck in protective custody. This has been a fantastic year. Tyler, I said gently, I'm sorry for all of it, for asking Dominic to hurt you, for putting you in danger, don't. He held up a hand. You didn't put me in danger. I did. By being the kind of person who deserved what happened. Maybe not the kidnapping part, but the rest of it. Yeah, I earned that. He looked at me with something like regret. You deserved better than me, Lara. I hope he gestured at Dominic. Gives you what I couldn't. It was the closest Tyler had ever come to actual accountability, and I appreciated it even though forgiveness felt premature. We spent the rest of the night in that penthouse, waiting for dawn, for news, for the next crisis. Naya fell asleep on the couch. Tyler was given a guest room. And I stood at those floor-to-ceiling windows with Dominic, watching the city wake up, watching the sun paint Manhattan in shades of gold and amber. "Do you think we'll survive this?" I asked. "I don't know," he said honestly. "But I know we're going to try." My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number, and my heart stopped when I read it. "Congratulations on your victory, Miss Bennett. You helped destroy the Marchetti organization. But you should know, Marco had partners. Silent partners who don't appear in public records or federal investigations. People who are very unhappy about losing their investment. You think you're safe now? You think Dominic Carver can protect you? You're wrong. This isn't over. It's just beginning. Check your email. We sent you something that might change how you see your hero." My hands were shaking as I opened my email. One new message, no subject line, just an attachment, a video file. "Dominic," I said, voice barely above a whisper. He moved behind me, looked over my shoulder at the screen. I pressed play. The video was dated 3 years ago. Security camera footage from what looked like a parking garage. Grainy, black and white, but clear enough to see two people. Dominic and a woman in her early 20s with dark hair and Sophia's face. His sister, alive, moving. And they were arguing about something, voices raised, body language tense. Then a car appeared, driving too fast, and everything happened so quickly I almost missed it. Sophia turning to look, Dominic reaching for her, the car accelerating instead of stopping. But there was something wrong with the angle. Something about the way Dominic moved, the way his hand seemed to push rather than pull. The video froze on a single frame. Sophia's face, terror-struck, as she fell into the path of the oncoming car. Text appeared over the frozen image. "Hero or murderer? Ask him what they really argued about. Ask him who cut those brake lines. Ask him who benefited most from Sophia Carver's death." The video ended. I turned to look at Dominic, and the expression on his face told me everything I needed to know. This video existed. This moment had happened. And whatever the truth was, it was more complicated than anything he'd told me. "Lara?" he started. "Did you kill your sister?" The question came out flat, emotionless, because if I let myself feel anything, I'd shatter. He didn't answer immediately, and the silence was louder than any confession. The silence lasted 7 seconds. I know because I counted, desperate for something concrete to hold on to while everything I thought I understood crumbled like wet paper. "No," Dominic finally said, and his voice was raw in a way I'd never heard before. "I didn't kill my sister, but I'm the reason she's dead." The distinction felt important, though I wasn't sure why. Behind me, I heard movement, Nia stirring on the couch, probably woken by the tension in the room that had become almost tangible. "Explain," I said, because that single word was all I could manage. He moved away from me, walked to the windows, put physical distance between us like it could somehow protect me from what he was about to confess. The dawn light painted him in shades of gold and shadow, and I hated that he still looked beautiful even as my world tilted. "That video is real. That argument happened. Sophia and we were fighting about the building, the one in the Bronx that collapsed. She'd gathered evidence, proof of the falsified inspections, the bribes, all of it. She wanted to go to the authorities immediately. And his hands clenched into fists. I told her to wait, to give me time to handle it quietly, to protect the family name, to make things right without burning everything down. And she refused. She refused." He turned to face me, and the pain in his expression was devastating. Said she was going to the FBI with or without my support, that she'd rather lose everything than live with blood on her hands. So I tried to stop her, physically grabbed her arm, tried to pull her back toward my car so we could talk somewhere private instead of screaming in a parking garage where anyone could hear. I looked back at my phone, at that frozen frame of Sophia's terrified face. "The video makes it look like I pushed her," he continued, "like I shoved her into the path of that car deliberately. But I was trying to pull her back, to protect her. And when she pulled away from me, when she stumbled," his voice broke. "The car came out of nowhere, too fast, too direct. The driver never even hit the brakes, just accelerated through her like she was nothing. You said the brake lines were cut. They were. We found that out later during the investigation. But not her brake lines. The driver's. Someone wanted to kill Sophia and made it look like an accident. Someone who'd been listening to our argument, who knew she was about to expose everything, who had the most to lose if the truth came out. Your father? My father. Flat. Factual. Like he'd made peace with patricide years ago. He died 6 months later. Heart attack, officially. But I've always suspected it wasn't natural. That guilt killed him, or that someone in his organization who couldn't trust him anymore made it look like natural causes. Either way, he took the truth with him. I sat down on the edge of the couch, legs suddenly unable to support my weight. Nia was fully awake now, listening with wide eyes, not interrupting but present in a way that felt stabilizing. "So who sent me that video?" I asked. "Who are these silent partners who supposedly are unhappy about the Marchetti organization falling?" "I don't know." Dominic pulled out his phone, already typing. "But I'm going to find out. Chen, I need you to trace the origin of a video file." He paused, looked at me. "Can you forward it to me?" I did. Watched him receive it. Watched his expression darken as he sent it to Chen with rapid-fire instructions. "If this goes public," I said quietly, "if that video gets released to the media along with the Marchetti story, then everything we've built collapses." He finished my thought. "The prosecutors? Case against the Marchettis relies partially on my testimony, on the evidence my organization provided. If I'm accused of fratricide, even wrongly, it undermines everything. Makes me look like someone who'd kill his own sister to protect criminal interests. The defense attorneys would have a field day. So we're being blackmailed. We're being played." He moved to the center of the room, and I recognized the expression, the same cold calculation I'd seen before the warehouse raid, before every dangerous decision. He was strategizing, running through scenarios, trying to find the move that wouldn't result in checkmate. Whoever sent this wants something. Money, leverage, access to something we control. They'll reach out with demands within the next few hours. And if we don't give them what they want, then that video goes public. And we spend the next year fighting legal battles instead of building something better. My phone buzzed again. Another message from the unknown number. "Good. You watched it. Now you understand. Nothing is what it seems. Not Dominic's redemption story. Not his dead sister martyrdom. Not even you, Ms. Bennett. Did you think it was coincidence that we offered you that documentary job? That we pointed you toward Carver Industries? You've been ours from the beginning. A weapon we aimed at Dominic Carver, and you performed beautifully. Now here's what happens next. You're going to testify, not against the Marchettis, against Dominic. You're going to tell federal prosecutors that he coerced you, manipulated you, used you to destroy his competitors while pretending to go legitimate. Do that, and we'll keep the video private. Refuse, and everyone will know what he really is." I read it twice, feeling sick. Then I handed my phone to Dominic and watched his expression transform from concern to barely restrained fury. "They're not blackmailing us for money," I said. "They're trying to turn me against you, to make me their witness instead of yours, which means they need you more than they need me dead." He was pacing now, energy coiled like a spring. "If they just wanted revenge, they'd have killed us already. But they want something more valuable than blood. They want my empire. The legitimate businesses, the connections, the infrastructure I've built. And the only way to take it is to prove I'm still criminal, that I used you as a pawn while pretending to reform. Did you?" The question came out before I could stop it. Use me. Was I ever anything more than a convenient tool? He stopped pacing, looked at me with an intensity that made breathing difficult. "If I said no, if I told you that everything between us was real, would you believe me?" "I don't know." "Then believe this." He moved closer, crouched in front of me so we were eye level. "I could have helped you that night in the bar without getting involved. Could have made Tyler suffer without making you visible. Could have protected you without bringing you into my world. Every choice I made since meeting you has been the opposite of strategic. You're not a tool, Lara. You're the thing that made me remember why I wanted to change in the first place." Nia cleared her throat. I hate to interrupt what's either a really moving declaration or really good manipulation, but we have a bigger problem. If Lara testifies against you, even under coercion, it destroys both of you. You go to prison. She loses all credibility. The Marchettis, real partners, take over your operation and probably kill everyone involved to clean up loose ends. But if I refuse to testify, I continued, following the logic, they release that video. Dominic gets accused of killing Sophia. The prosecutor's case falls apart, the Marchettis walk free, and we're back where we started, except now everyone thinks Dominic is a fratricide. It's a perfect trap, Dominic agreed grimly. Elegant, really. Either outcome destroys us. The only question is which destruction we choose. Tyler, who'd been so quiet I'd almost forgotten he was there, spoke from the doorway of the guest room. Or you do neither. You break the game instead of playing it. We all turned to look at him. What do you mean? I asked. I mean you're thinking like people who are trapped. But you're not. You have something they don't. He moved into the room, limping slightly, face still swollen but eyes clear. You have the truth, not their edited version, not their carefully framed narrative, the actual truth about what happened. The truth doesn't always win, Dominic said. No, but it's harder to fight than lies. Tyler looked at me. You're a documentary filmmaker, Lara. You know how to tell stories. You know how to take complicated situations and make them understandable. So do that. Tell your story, all of it. Before they can control the narrative, before they can twist it into something useful, you put everything out there. The bar, the revenge, the kidnapping, the Marchettis, the video, Sophia, all of it. Make it public in a way they can't manipulate. That's insane, Nia said. That would destroy both of them. It would make us human, I said slowly, understanding beginning to form. Right now, we're characters in their story. The reformed criminal, the innocent filmmaker, the convenient lie. But if we tell our own story first, with all its complications and moral ambiguity and uncomfortable truths, we become people. And people are harder to destroy than narratives. Dominic was looking at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. You want to confess everything? Make a documentary about how you asked me to destroy your ex-boyfriend, how I helped you because I was drawn to you, how we uncovered corruption and caught feelings and stumbled into something neither of us planned. Yes, that destroys the clean narrative, the redemption arc, the story where I'm trying to be better. You are trying to be better, but you're not redeemed. Redemption isn't a destination, it's a direction. And maybe that's the more honest story. I stood up, moved toward him. We tell them everything. The good, the bad, the morally complicated. We show them the video of Sophia and explain what really happened. We admit that you've killed people, that I asked you to hurt Tyler, that we've both made choices we're not proud of. And we say, this is what trying to be better actually looks like. Messy, complicated, imperfect. The prosecutors will hate it, he said. Probably. But they'll have a harder time controlling us if we're not trying to be heroes. If we're just people who got caught up in something bigger and are trying to navigate it honestly. Dominic studied me for a long moment. Then he smiled. Real. Genuine. The kind of smile I'd never seen on him before. You're absolutely insane. You know that, right? I learned from the best. He kissed me. Quick and fierce. Then pulled back. Okay. We do it your way. We tell our story before they can weaponize it. But we need to do it fast before they realize what we're planning, which means... He checked his watch. We have maybe 6 hours before they expect your answer. 6 hours to film, edit, and release a documentary that tells the complete, unvarnished truth. I can do that, I said, with more confidence than I felt. I've edited entire documentaries in less time under worse conditions. But I'll need equipment, a location, and complete honesty from you. No sanitizing. No protecting me from ugly truths. If we're doing this, we're doing it all the way. Agreed. He was already making calls, summoning his team, arranging logistics. Chen appeared via video call within minutes, looking exhausted but alert. Boss? She said. Change of plans. We're making a documentary. Full confession, complete transparency, release it ourselves before the silent partners can weaponize the Sophia video. Can you set up equipment in the penthouse? How much time do I have? 3 hours for setup, 3 hours for production and editing. Chen laughed, slightly manic. You're insane. I love it. Give me 90 minutes. The next 6 hours were the most intense of my life. Chen arrived with enough equipment to film a feature. And suddenly the penthouse became a production space. Lights, cameras, audio equipment, multiple angles. She worked with the efficiency of someone who'd done this before, who understood that documentary filmmaking was as much about capturing truth as it was about technical execution. I interviewed Dominic first, sat across from him with a camera between us, and asked him everything about his family, about Sophia, about the building that collapsed, about the video, about what he'd done to Tyler, about violence and redemption and the space between who we are and who we want to be. He answered everything. No evasions, no careful phrasing, just raw, honest confession that made me understand why he'd spent years hiding behind careful control. Because vulnerability looked like this, exposed and painful and impossibly brave. Then I turned the camera on myself, told my story, the bad breakup, the bar, the moment I asked a stranger to make my ex regret losing me, the documentary job offer that had actually been a setup, the research I'd done without knowing I was being used, the warehouse, the choice to stay when I could have run. Nia interviewed both of us, asking the uncomfortable questions an audience would have. Tyler gave a statement about his kidnapping, his perspective on what had happened. Even Chen spoke, briefly, about why she'd released the story to the Times without permission. By hour 5, we had over 3 hours of footage. By hour 6, I'd edited it down to 47 minutes of documentary that felt less like a confessional and more like testimony. Not perfect, not polished, but true. It's done, I said, rendering the final file at 6:47 a.m. Dominic looked at the screen, at the title card I'd created. Consider it done. A documentary about revenge, justice, and the distance between. You're sure about this? He asked. No, but I'm sure that silence is worse. Then let's burn it all down and see what grows back. Chen uploaded it simultaneously to YouTube, Vimeo, and sent copies to every major news outlet with a note. The full, unedited truth about Dominic Carver, the Marchetti investigation, and the woman who helped bring them down. Watch before you judge. Within 20 minutes, it had 10,000 views. Within an hour, 50,000. By the time the sun was fully up over Manhattan, it was trending on social media, being discussed on morning news shows, analyzed by legal experts and cultural critics, and everyone with an opinion about crime and redemption. My phone exploded with messages, journalists requesting interviews, lawyers offering representation, strangers sending death threats and marriage proposals in equal measure, and then, at 8:32 a.m., a call from an unknown number. Dominic answered, "Put it on speaker. You just made a very expensive mistake." A voice said, "Male, older, accent suggesting education and old money. That documentary was supposed to be our leverage, our insurance, and you just gave it away for free." "Who are you?" Dominic asked. "Someone who's been watching you for a very long time. Someone who helped build your grandfather's empire and expected to profit when you took over. Someone who's very unhappy that you're trying to go legitimate." A pause. "But you're smart, Dominic. Smarter than your father. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to step down from Carver Industries, transfer ownership to trustees we select. And in exchange, we'll let you and your little filmmaker live. And if we refuse, then we stop being subtle." The line went dead. I looked at Dominic, at Nia, at Tyler, at Chen monitoring her screens. We'd just told the world our truth, made ourselves vulnerable in the most public way possible. And the response was a death threat. "Well," Nia said into the silence, "at least we're consistent." Dominic's phone rang again. Different number. He answered, "Mr. Carver? This is Assistant U.S. Attorney Sarah Morrison. I've been watching your documentary, and I think we need to talk. Because if even half of what you're claiming is true, we have a much bigger problem than the Marchetti organization. We have a systematic corruption case that goes back decades and involves people we've never been able to touch. So here's my offer. You help us identify these silent partners, help us build a case that actually sticks, and I'll make sure you and Miss Bennett have protection. Real protection. Not the kind that disappears when it's inconvenient." Dominic's eyes met mine across the room. A question without words. I nodded. "We're in," he told Morrison. "But we do this our way. Complete transparency. Everything on the record. No backdoor deals that let anyone walk away clean." "Agreed. I'll have agents at your location within the hour. Don't leave. Don't talk to anyone else. And Mr. Carver?" A pause. "What you and Ms. Bennett did this morning, putting that documentary out there before anyone could control the narrative. That was either the bravest or stupidest thing I've seen in 20 years of prosecuting organized crime. Possibly both. She hung up. We sat in that penthouse, exhausted and wired and terrified, waiting for federal agents who might protect us or might arrest us, waiting to see if our gamble had paid off or if we just painted targets on everyone we loved. I moved to the window, looking down at the city waking up, at people going to work completely unaware that something fundamental had shifted, that a documentary was spreading through the internet like wildfire, changing conversations about crime and redemption and what it actually means to try to be better. Dominic joined me, his hand finding mine. "No matter what happens next," he said quietly, "thank you for seeing me, for believing I could be more than my worst moments, for being brave enough to tell a truth that could destroy us both." "We're not destroyed yet," I said. "No, but we're definitely on fire." I laughed, slightly hysterical, because what else could you do when your life had become this strange, dangerous, impossible thing? My phone buzzed one more time, the unknown number. One final message. "Well played, Ms. Bennett. You didn't choose our trap, so we'll have to build a new one. See you soon." If you made it to the end of this story, let us know in the comments which city you're watching from, and click the yellow bell to subscribe to the channel and support us. Keep the adventure going by clicking on the suggested video on your screen.